In this video, we're going to talk about natural lighting in VRAY for Cinema 4D. So in the previous video, we talked about proxies and how we can place a large number of copies of really complex models like trees without spending too much energy on our GPU and on our viewport. And we also placed the first dome light and VRAY sun, but in this video we're going to concentrate on this. So you can see here that I can insert the VRAY sun only, but I also can place the VRAY sun and sky together like a system. So I have these two choices. So I can use a VRAY sun with an environment or HDRI, which is something that we're gonna see later. So first of all, I'm gonna delete all the lights that I have in the scene. So we shouldn't see anything if we run a render now. So we're gonna start with an interactive render in the VRAY frame buffer, and we're going to see what's happening right now. So we're gonna start from scratch, from zero. We already have the scene from the previous video, but we will add here the light, the sunlight, the skylight, and we will set up this natural lighting. And with this we can do daytime renders and nighttime renders. So you can see here that everything is completely black. It says render completed, but of course I cannot see anything. Now to see something, I need either a light or an environment map, which is gonna be my HDRI for my image-based lighting. So we're going to start to see these different techniques that we can use also in interiors, by the way, not only exteriors, but let's start with exteriors because are simple. And I'm going here in the render settings, VRAY, and this is the VRAY tab. We can also change the engine, for example, here. We can use the GPU if we have a strong GPU. And here we can also set some other advanced settings, which we're going to talk about later, and color mapping. Now let's move into the GI, global illumination section. Well, this is where we can check if the global illumination is activated, and also we can check which type of global illumination engine we are using. In this case, light cache, but let's go. First of all, we see here that we already saw global illumination, and global illumination is basically a combination of direct and indirect light. So starting to talk about the lighting in 3D software and render engine, you need to know that global illumination works with bounces and works with direct photons or direct sources, and then with the light that is gonna bounce all over the scene. Now you will see that you have brute force, which is simpler, and then you have light cache, which is a little bit more complex. And you will see a lot of examples here on the web on the difference between the direct and indirect. If you use only direct, for example, you only have the objects illuminated by the source, you won't have bounces, you won't have color bleeding on your scene, so everything is not gonna look realistic. In real life, when the light hits a surface, it's gonna bounce all over, it's gonna drag the colors with it, and it's gonna create a more realistic look. And again, you will find a lot of examples here explaining to you what we are talking about. Now let's get back here, global illumination. So if we uncheck that, we will not use the most advanced feature. And here you have brute force and light cache, and you can see that brute force has less parameters, is less complicated, and basically only has the depth parameter, while the light cache has more parameters, subdivisions, sample size, and so on. Usually light cache is used for interiors and brute force for exteriors because, generally speaking, the external light, the exterior renderings, it's something simpler than creating an interior. In interiors, you usually have less light, so less global illumination, and so the render engine needs to do a little bit more of effort to create a nice looking scene. So brute force, here you can set the depth, so let's say the precision of the global illumination. You can go all the way up, you can stay low, it's up to you. Just test your machine and see if it's capable to handle higher quality renderings. So I will show you also how you can create and store different renderings in the VRAY frame buffer. Now settings here, you can see we have some additional parameters that we can set. Overrides, this is about overriding what's in the scene, and we will check this later on, but the one that we care about talking about lighting is environment. So here is where we can place a single image that is gonna work as a complex lighting system. So you can also work in combination with an image and lights, but usually if you want to do something real quick and easy, you use the environment. So here you can load here a simple color actually if you want a simple lighting, and let's actually see how the scene changes rapidly. So I will run another test render and show you here that basically we are using a uniform light. So when you use an environment, it's like you're placing a dome around your scene, and this dome in this case is totally white, so it's going to give you this flat lighting, kind of a cloudy day lighting or foggy day. Or you can use this maybe to represent a architectural model in small scale. If you want to do something real quick, you want to concentrate on the architecture, on the shapes and not on materials and other elements of the render. So it could be a possibility here to just use the environment. And you can already see the global illumination, how it's working. You can see that nothing is in complete shadow. And also here we can use the Cinema 4D render tools as well. So this is kind of a starting point to make you understand how lighting work in Cinema 4D and VRAY. Now if you open up this tab here by clicking and dragging, you will have this left panel here, and this panel has options and settings. So if you go here in the frame buffer settings, go to history, enable history, and this is how you can store the different image that you're gonna produce rendering your scene. So you can also use a project path, your project path, or you can use a custom directory here. You can store the image into a folder so that you can retrieve them later on. So you can create here a specific folder called history renders or something that you like. And so everything I will save in the history panel is gonna also be saved in that folder. Now I can click autosave, so it's gonna always save the finished render and also the other renders. But if you check here, completed only, you will only save the completed renders. So usually I don't activate this option. I will leave that off, so I will save any render even if I stop it before the end. You can also change here the position and the size of the thumbnails that you will visualize on the history panel. So you have some extra and let's say secondary options here for the history. So let's save and close. And now if I want to save, I can click on the plus icon there, or I can just stop the render and that's gonna be saved.